Welcome. So this is Olivia. I'm just waiting to see if I go live. Let's give it a moment. Okay, we'll just try this out over here. See if it shows up on mine. Yeah,
there it is.
I'm live.
Yep. All right.
Takes a few minutes to start working. Hi, Alex. Thank you. Okay. I'll just leave that open for comments. So welcome everybody. I'm sure they'll take a couple minutes for people to get here. And I'm just wondering how everyone is doing today. Here in Vancouver, we had such great sunshine for quite a few days, and now we've got lots of gray clouds. So I'm hoping that will end soon. And we'll get some better weather. I think I can see a little bit of blue cloud in the horizon a little bit. So let me know where you're from. Like, are you from Vancouver or are you from somewhere else? Since we're all on Facebook, and it would be nice to kind of know the places that people are coming from. So we spent the last couple of days talking about some really fun stuff. I really enjoy just speaking to the camera more than I thought I would. It's been fun, and it's almost like teaching to a group in the room, except that we're not doing any exercises right now. So for today, I'm going to go to what I want to talk about. So there were some questions, and I had some questions about desire and being able to connect to our desire, but not losing sight and losing yourself in your desire. And, it's a little harder to teach that kind of thing because it's all a very personal matter. But what I found the most important thing is that we need to practice at being connected to our body every day. It isn't just like a once a week type of thing. It's really about spending every day exploring what's going on in our bodies. And I'm just reading a comment here. Okay. Victoria. So, opening up energy in your heart and in your belly, right? Yeah, because those, like when we talk about the heart plexus and the solar plexus, these areas of the body have more neurons in them than the brain. So we talk about the gut brain a lot in coaching, and how the gut really tells us what's really going on. And we also, in being receptive in the heart and open enough to feel energy flowing from that area, because that's where a lot of our creativity flows from. So a lot of people, they'll feel like if you repress anything in your life, so whether it be emotions or try to repress your sexuality, what ends up happening is you lose sight of that part of you becomes like put in a closet, and you kind of like keep it there. But if you keep it there too long, so if you want to keep your heart closed, then living from that place, it requires a lot more practice, a lot more flow. Ideally, I look at how I posted a picture up on the Essential Intelligence group about energy aliveness flowing through the body. And aliveness flowing through the body requires that we're well grounded and connected to earth, and our feet are firmly rooted. And then energy then we can move the energy upwards through the trunk of the tree, which is our body. Hi, Jessica. Hi, Bree. So, like, how do we get grounded? Think about it. In our daily lives, we live in buildings up, usually not on the first floor. We don't live on the ground. We wear running shoes, so there's no grounding because there's like rubber in between us and the earth. We don't walk around barefoot. So it's really not that easy to be grounded. And I think that, if anything about being embodied, is like walking through the grass in your bare feet, or on the dirt, or on the beach. It's a little harder when you don't live in Vancouver. It's a little easier when you live in Vancouver, but if you lived in Montreal or Edmonton, or you can't be walking outside in the winter. So that grounding helps us remagnetize, like really connect us to the earth, and we can download the energy that we've been holding on to into the earth, and the earth can transform it. So we have a lot of tools available to us, and learning how to use these tools is an important thing. So we can breath and our breath makes a big difference. So I don't know. I'm going to suggest everybody, if you can, if you're, doesn't really matter where you are, but just take a minute and find yourself sitting in a really kind of up and straight spine, and the top of your head is like, there's, from the crown of your head, there's like a little string, and it's kind of, so your neck goes down a little. And close your eyes if you feel comfortable. And just check in with your body and see and feel how grounded you are at the moment. So do a little scan. You can start at your head. And just notice what you're feeling like. Like for me, my breath isn't very deep. Feel a little nervous. And just notice your heart rate. Is your heart beating fast? Is your breath filling up your chest? Feeling your belly. Noticing if your belly is expanding with your inhales, or is it staying really tight? Noticing your pelvic floor and your hips. Do they feel tight? Are they, is there like a squeezing, clenching action going on? Or is there a movement and mobility in that part of your body? Just noticing. And then feel all the way down into your legs. Are there any sensations? Down into your feet. And now that you're connected to your feet, imagine that you've got energy centers on the bottoms of your feet. Well, you do, but imagine that there's like, you can see it like an eye. And there are roots from your tailbone going down deep into the earth. And these roots sink their way through the earth and gradually go deeper and deeper, 10 feet, 100 feet, all the way down to the center of the earth. And these roots, they surround the core, the magnetic core of the earth. And just feel yourself lock into and ground yourself. Now imagine these roots can draw up energy into your body, so you can allow your body to take that red hot magma, that magnetic energy, and draw it in through your body. And feel as if this energy is flowing in through your body, in through the perineum, the base of the spine. And the energy flows up from there to your sacral plexus, your sexual center, where the energy is your uterus for women. And then you can bring this energy, this flowing, warm energy, all the way up to your belly. As if it's just sliding upwards and giving you energy, and bringing this energy all the way up to heart. Feel the heart. And take that breath into the heart. And then allow the energy to flow through your hands. And then you can place your hands on your body. And so you can feed this energy into your body. Breathing in, drawing up the energy. Allowing it to come up the body. Flowing out through your arms into your hands. And then you can place this energy anywhere you need it. Like if you feel like you need energy in your shoulders, your head, your legs, wherever, and the energy just flows through you, so you can draw it. This is always available to us, this energy, and we can use it at any time. Hi, Leo. So know that energy is there, and we can use it at any time. And when we touch people, we're not, a lot of times we feel like we're creating people's ecstasy in their body when we touch, or we want to give them pleasure. But in reality, the pleasure is their responsibility. So, but it's really hard to know that. So I think that if we can spend time before we engage, and that's about creating space. If we take time to engage with somebody on a spiritual level, on a soul level first, before we engage with somebody on a sexual or sensual level, and actually attune yourself to that person and take some time, because we're not and this is really an important thing. We're giving selflessly when we give love or attention or intimacy to someone, but obviously we want the pleasure back. But it's like learning how to give energy from not depleting ourselves also. So we can use the energy of the earth. And we can also tune into the energy of the cosmos, into the stars and the sun, and bring energy through the crown and bring it down into the heart as well. So ideally we want to bring the earth energy, the mother energy, the energy that feeds us. Yeah, we need that. And then we also need the energy from the cosmos, the consciousness, and bringing that down. And the heart is really the connection between the two. But often our hearts are disconnected from these other parts of ourselves. And so any practice that we do, a yoga practice, a non-sexual practice, whereas yoga and breathing and energy work, those are important. But we can also use sexual practices where we actually take this energy, our own, say, pleasure practice or our engagement with someone that we're involved with. And this engagement and this involvement, it can bring a lot of richness to a relationship. If you start looking at our sexuality is not just an animal act, obviously, well, that's like the first part, but we want to refine it. We want to have the heart engaged with it. We want our power engaged with it. We want to come to it from that point of view, not just a sexual act, obviously. And this is why people feel like they're fighting their sexuality sometimes, I think, because we've been taught, it's been taught to us that, I don't know about everyone else, but myself, I was taught that we just didn't talk about it. It was a bad thing. It was like, it was something to feel guilty about or something to fear. Fear that you'd get a disease, fear that you would get pregnant, or you would do something shameful. But you had these desires. You had these desires to connect with people, and so you're fighting yourself, right? And this goes on and on and on. And then we are in relationships, and we often aren't even our true selves of who we are in the relationship. We put on a show. We show someone what we want them to see at the beginning. So we try to be something, sometimes we're not. Yeah. And it's really hard to find, a lot of people talk about soulmates and things like that. And really, a soulmate is just your polar opposite. It's your completion. And really, you need to become your own soulmate first. It's creating this polarity within your own body. And that's why we do the tantric practices and pleasure practices, so that we can learn how to generate a lot of energy and move it through our bodies. Let me see what here is saying. Even for many animals, it's not only an animal act. Yes, of course. Learning how to get in touch with the other parts of who we are, that takes a little bit of practice. So what I wanted to talk about today was, I think I find like I don't know if anybody has heard, I mean, there's been a lot of talk lately in this whole Me Too thing, and I guess that is a problem because most people don't know how to ask for consent. And most people are not very good with their yeses and nos. And we talked about this on the Thursday. And so, there's a reason why we need to be really clear with it, because then all of our connections can have a real authenticity about them. We can let go of a lot of stress when we start making some agreements. So Betty Martin, and you can look her up. All her videos on YouTube, and she teaches the Wheel of Consent, and she wants it to be available to everybody. I learned this in one of my trainings that I did, and I really make sure that people are really clear about consent and what that means. So I want to pull up a slide for you so that you can see this. Make this a little bigger. Okay. So you see here, this is a nice little wheel. And you can see here, so when we look at the outside of the circle basically represents the actual consent. Okay. And it basically, within that, whatever agreements we have, if they're within the circle, that's consent. Anything out of the circle is the stuff that we end up seeing in the world. So I don't know how clear this is. Okay, this is pretty clear. Make it a little bigger. Okay. So traditionally we think about consent as if you see on the upper quadrant there on the one side it says to serve. Okay, so right here. And serving it's like giving. So giving. And then the opposite, you'll see here, which is receiving or accepting. Here it shows on the diagram. So traditionally in most relationships and in most things we do when touch is involved, it's I'm giving some pleasure to you and you're receiving it. So it could look like massage. So I'm giving someone a massage and it's my partner and I'm doing it for the good for him, right? This is for make him feel good. So I'm serving him. You know, you can use the word give as well. Sometimes people have a problem with the word serve. And so you're doing this action for the benefit of someone else. Yeah. And it's a one-way touch. So like the person, it's an action and the benefit and the gift is the person receiving. So this is what we normally think of as the giving and receiving. Traditionally, though, this take and allow isn't on our normal dialogue. Yeah. It looks a little different. So when you, like in my work, because I work trauma informed and I work with people who had experienced trauma, I work with this model a lot. I make sure that people know what giving and receiving is. So this giving and receiving is an important distinction from taking and allowing. So here's the other picture. So taking and allowing. So the person taking is taking for their pleasure. Yeah. And the person allowing allows to take what they want. You know, and that might seem strange, but it isn't. So if you look at BDSM relationships, where people are, for example, there's an agreement, the more submissive person, they are allowing themselves to be available for the pleasure of the person in the more dominant role. So I would take benefit for the benefit of me. And that person would allow me. So there's an energy running back and forth. Okay. And I'll put in just so you know that this is available to everybody, this information. So I will put links into the bottom at the end of this talk, and I'll put it in the comments so that you can read about it and learn more about it. So here's the thing. So if we've got all these things where, okay, this is good if there's an agreement, but what it looks like is if, for example, if you're only living in the serve quadrant, so you're really good at giving, and you're not so great at receiving. I'm going to put this up here. There we go. You only experience one thing in your life, only giving, and then that depletes you. Yeah. So the giving energy, the going, the forward energy, that real more masculine energy, right? I'm not talking about male, female, but that male, that of doing all the time. It never really gives us a chance to go to the polar opposite, which is receiving and filling our cup back up. Yeah. So we all need to full. Hi, Julia. Good to see you. Thank you. Filling our cup up, you know? So learning how to play on the other end of receiving. So in relationships, you know, often you'll see one person does more than the other, gives more physical touch, and the other one receives more. But if it's always that case, then there's this imbalance. And with anything, we want to create more balance in our relationship and kind of balance, basically balance our masculine and feminine energies. Imagine if we could get the touch we wanted all the time from our partner, and get what we need. Learning how to communicate these things, right? It's a pretty big deal. I think that most of the time people don't get what they need out of the relationships because they're too afraid to talk about it. Just gonna have a little sip of tea. Oh, I just wanted to show you my cute little cup. Look at this. So there's this lady at Granville Island, and she makes these porcelain teacups. Anyway, it's got a heart, so I thought it was a perfect cup for me, since I deal with love all the time, right? So, and I say love because I think when it comes down to it, the most universal energy there is love. And if we can put aside all the other stuff and concentrate on that and connecting our power of who we are to our heart, then everything is possible. Just, you know, and then being able to speak our truth. Because for me, for example, I'm not really an outgoing person. I'm an introvert, to be honest with you. This is a very extroverted thing for me to do, talk like this, especially to a camera. But if I don't put myself out of my comfort zone and say, hey, I have all this to share, then no one benefits from it, right? It's like I can't receive any more until I start giving. So this is my way to give, and this is my way to, you know, I'm not saying anything new, let's put it that way, but maybe the way I say it will hit home for somebody and change somebody's life, or change their relationship to themselves, or save a marriage, or whatever it may be, you know, change your self-esteem. You know, there are a lot of benefits to being really embodied and really learning how to live in pleasure. It's an important thing to do. I think that we don't put importance on pleasure. There's a lot of guilt involved when it comes to that. So I'd like to change that. I'd like to change it so that we can have more in our lives. And so learning how to deal with consent and learning how to ask for what we want is a big deal. We can play games. I mean, there are games to play, you know, to teach people these things, but, you know, we're even afraid to ask the question. Yeah. So let's see here. What do I want to say? Okay. So if you're giving and you're not in the consent area and you kind of stepped out of that circle that I was talking about, here, I'll go back to it just for a quick sec. For anyone who hasn't seen it. So if you go outside of that circle and looking at that serving quadrant, yeah, what's happening is that, like you're going to be in the shadow of the thing. So you're the do-gooder. You could be the martyr, um, the rescuer. And yeah, I see spell check. There we go, rescuer. So always, like, if we're in the shadow and we're not giving from the true, if we're always giving or we're not in the consent area, these are the things that end up happening. And the next is if receiving. So we talked about giving, receiving. So you're benefiting from the action of others. It's like asking the question, will you? And the shadow side is someone who is, like, you could use the words freeloader, slavery, entitled, assumption. Spell check. Um, you know, uh, a lot of the times, if it's not clear, and you're always like, I'll give the example. Um, in the shadow side, we have the ability to get lost in giving and get in receiving. So I see it all the time. People expect things to be done for them, or they or have a lot of expectations without really qualifying from the other person that's really what they want to give. So there's the two sides to the coin. I think that we often don't make this very clear in our relationships. Okay. And okay, let's see. Here we go. Camera. Okay. Good. So I want to ask anybody, like, in in your relationships, are you better at giving or receiving? Is it easy for you to do and give, and you spend more time doing that, or do you spend more time and feel more comfortable receiving? I know for a long time, considering the work that I do, and I've been a body worker for more than 20 years, and I was always, for myself, better at giving than receiving. I always had this, like, a little bit of guilt, thinking if I wasn't doing something for someone, that I wasn't a good person. I think that comes from my religious upbringing as well. And, you know, um, but not being able to receive pleasure really impacted my life. You know, it's not just an impact about our sexuality or sensuality. It's an impact of everything in our lives. Being able to receive pleasure means, like, bringing great things into our lives, being successful. Um, my mic went off. Can someone let me know if it's on or off? Okay, let's see here. Okay. Okay, I think that might be better. I hit a button. Okay, I think I fixed it. Okay, better. Okay, thank you, Leo. Technology. So I have some comments here about um, giving is easier because receiving implies an expectation of return. Okay. So, yeah, but it's important that we fill up our cup, right? If we're just giving, then there needs to be a reciprocation of energy in a relationship. Just imagine that you had two polar opposites. You had man here, and this is his positive pole, his sex center, and his negative pole is his heart. And for a woman, her positive pole is her breasts and her heart area, and her negative pole is her genital area. And so imagine here you've got the two polar opposites, and there's a flow of energy between the two of you. If the energy is not flowing and one person is always giving energy, the other person gets depleted, right? And the relationship doesn't work out. There's no, there's no push and pull. And when you look at relationships, great relationships themselves come from being the same. Yeah. The more things you like and your commonalities create a better relationship. There's a partnership involved. But what makes great sex or great sexual encounters is our difference. So at the beginning, when we first meet someone, we may have commonalities, but we don't know each other. And so there's a lot of difference and there's a lot of excitement. And your encounters are better, steamier, hotter. And this also takes into account when you're in a long distance relationship with somebody, like I mentioned earlier, and you see the person once a month or on the weekends only. That creates like longer lasting, more push and pull. Like you want the person. There's this draw. It's like pulling, you literally pull yourself in. So, well, how do you do that in a relationship? Like, how do you create this push and pull? You've been together for 20 years. Everything seems to be the same. I mean, do you try to go into the lifestyle? Do you become a swinger? Do you become polyamorous? Do you have an affair? Right? Or do you try to work on creating that polar opposite in your relationship? And there are ways to do it. And the practices, like learning how to be better at touch with your partner, learning how to awaken somebody's desire. That's really important. And so that's like a skill thing. But then, so there's polarity, creating more polarity, having better skills. So that, for example, for men, learning how to last longer, have more stamina, and control that sexual energy and learn how to transmute it. So imagine you're taking base sexual energy that lays asleep in the sacrum. And as you become turned on, this energy just wants to leave the body. And so men learning how to take this energy and bring it back into their bodies and learning how to circulate it through their bodies can create more power within themselves. Because if you're not letting go of your seed and you're not, then you're recirculating it through your body. It's not just about stopping and going and not being never having an orgasm. It's learning how to separate that orgasm and ejaculation so that you can have more pleasure, more than you could imagine, or longer pleasure, or pleasure that fills up your body. And then what happens in turn is the more you practice at this, you can actually open up each energy center of the body and attune it so that the energy flows through your body. And that is the amazing part. That's skills that I teach people. I teach men and how to do this. I teach men's partners how to help them do this, for example. And then for women, it's like, how do you get in touch with your sexual energy? You know, when your positive pole is at your heart. Well, learning how to love yourself, who you are, is a big part of that. And most women feel there's a lot of unrealistic expectations when it comes to body image, and I think it's changed the world. You know, we have cameras, we have film, wonderful, but we also have Photoshop, and everything seems to be an illusion. You know, nothing is really real. Real people don't look like what we get fed every day. You know, TVs and movies are carefully curated for the visual pleasing effect, but in reality, real life doesn't look like that. And let's get real. You know, we have to live in our bodies. We're not living in Hollywood. We're living here in this body, and loving it for what it exactly is now at this moment is the most important thing you can do. And that's what a pleasure practice is about. It's like when you start feeling what your body is capable of, and how you can open up to the beauty of what's actually happening around you, then your life changes. It's complicated. So, John, what's complicated? So I know what you're saying. So I guess, you know, learning for women, it's about learning how to stoke the fire, like take her sexual energy, which is more water-based, that receptivity, that moon energy, and learning how to bring that water up to a boil. And so that her whole arc of arousal, because her arc of arousal takes a lot longer. A woman's arc of arousal is about 30 minutes or so before she's ready for any kind of sexual encounter of any sort of penetration. I think that women need to, for sure, learn how to know what they're feeling in their body before they allow someone to do something to them that they're not ready for. And then learn how to activate their voice so that they could ask for what they want or what they don't want. You know, learn how to say yes or no. But at the beginning, you know, we're not given these skills and these tools about how to communicate what we desire at all. We're sorely lacking in our education when it comes to human sexuality. We learned about reproductive health. Men and women suffer a lot of indignities when it comes to going to the doctor and having exams, and there's pain and trauma sometimes involved with it. And to be honest with you, most people that I deal with and most people that I see, everyone seems to have something that's stopping and blocking them to bliss. So everybody has something that they would like to change in their lives. So I believe that you can use sexual energy to create transformation, that we can transform our lives, that if we transform that part of our lives, it transforms everything. So whatever it is, how we have sex is how we live our lives. How we work is how It's like whatever you do in one part of your life, it spills over into all the other parts. So I'm just looking at a comment here. Yes, trauma. Yeah, it's a little bit different. So like learning how to deal with your partner's trauma and how to help them. Like if you have a partner with trauma, then obviously you love them and you want to do everything you can for them. So there's a guilt even that you have trauma, you don't have trauma and they do, that can happen. So, yeah, people with trauma is like, the whole de-armoring process where, learning how to open up the energy a little bit more. But that's, something that sometimes requires working with a practitioner a few times. But as a partner, you can help your partner open up with the right tools. That's for sure. So what I would like to just talk about in the last 10 minutes is, because this is our last one and I've really enjoyed it and I'd like to do more of this. So I am going to be offering a 8-week program that I'm going to be doing in May, starting in May, and the dates are coming out. And this program is about learning how to use connection and touch, how to help create more intimacy in your relationship, how to figure out what your pleasure switches are and what it takes to wake them up. And then, so that's like the first part. And the second part is about learning how to cultivate sexual energy so that we can take our creative potential and learn how to use it for more than just pleasure, but learn how to use it for every part of our lives. So for men, the example would be learning how to cultivate their sexual energy and control things. And it's useful for people who suffer from like ED or PE. That like these I don't really like these acronyms, but this is the things that are happening in this world, and intimacy and connection. A lot of it is manifest. Like if you have a hard time becoming intimate, or intimacy is there's some trauma involved with that, the physical effects would be maybe difficulties with ED and PE. And then for women, learning how to cultivate their sexual energy. I got asked a question, is the format the same format video on Facebook? Well, no. How it's going to work when I do my program is there'll be a private site that I'll have all the course material on. And the format for the live stuff that I'll be doing is it'll be Zoom. So it's more like a conference room where everybody gets together. It looks like a classroom. I have one person speaking and everybody's listening. So it's a Zoom conferencing, and those will be recorded, but it allows us to do question and answer in a little bit more natural format instead of me just talking and not being able to hear anybody. So everyone can speak during this. And then also, there are exercises. So there's learning, of course, but then the real learning happens when you do the practices. When you say, I give you the sacred tree meditation, the one that I just kind of started at the beginning of our call, where I got people to like ground themselves into the earth and move energy through their bodies. So active meditations like that, home play practices. And it doesn't really matter, like the way I'm doing the course, it doesn't matter if it's just you're alone and you're not in a relationship. You can do this. If you're in a relationship, you can do practices on your own and then with your partner. So it doesn't matter, and it doesn't even matter like what your sexual orientation is, or your preferences are. all this is universal. And really, it's about learning how to develop your capacity for more pleasure, learning how to develop your capacity for pleasure of living as well, because I believe that life has a lot of joys and beauty, but we're so busy doing that we stopped being a long time ago. We remember when you were a baby, we wish, right? When we were babies, if you notice children and young babies, how they're just enamored and everything is amazing and beautiful and everything is seen in wonderment. Well, I would like to open that up again for everybody. I would like everyone to be able to open up to that wonderment of who they are. So yes, it's about relationships and intimacy, but it's also a journey about you and yourself and your own relationship to pleasure. I'll also cover some touch practices. The third module is about touch and how to be good at touch and how to master that. And that's a very body-oriented thing. It's a very hands-on kind of thing. So it's really good if you want to do this, you have some friends that you like to share this kind of thing with. They don't have to be sexual, but you can do these practices on a non-sexual basis. And you can share this with someone that you care about. And then the fourth module that I'll be covering will be more about mastery, how to take all those things and put it all together. It's like creating, you learn all the little skills and all the little things, and then you want to master it. You want to make like a beautiful meal with all the courses and the wines and the dessert. And I think that's what our sex life can be like. I think I have a colleague, and I don't know, I think she's here in Canada, and I think I heard the word gourmet sex life. And I really like that term because I think our sex lives can be more gourmet oriented instead of fast food oriented. I've never been one for fast food. And I think, going back to being slower and more intentional in everything that we do is a good way to live our lives. So when I do my yoga classes, for example, my favorite class is the yin class because I get just to feel my body and I relaxed. I got so relaxed in my yin class. I felt like someone gave me a shot of morphine or something like that. It was crazy. Like I was on something, and all it was just me breathing and being in my body. And that's a totally non-sexual practice, but that's what the idea is. So you can use yoga and you can use meditation. Definitely. It's part of what this is all about. But it's also about education and becoming masterful in our lives. So I'm wondering, and all of the things that I'm doing, I've been teaching this work in this workshop for about, I think, 6 years now. And so I really want to bring this workshop to anybody because I have people from all over the world contacting me. Not everyone can fly here and see me. And I'm kind of a bit of a homebody, so I won't go fly out here, there, and everywhere. So I think this is a really great way for people to learn about their true potential. I was wondering if there were anywhere I enjoy meditation. Yes, well, meditation will help you ground, help you kind of, let's put it this way. We fill ourselves up with all the things in the world and a lot of stimuli. And then there's not a lot of space for anything else. There's not a lot of space for new ideas or creativity or love. It's kind of like a house cleaning, creating that space. So breath is creating space in the body. Meditation is creating space in the mind. Taking sexual energy and moving it through that space. And there's nothing stopping it. None of the chakras are, The chakras are open and ready to receive this energy, and they're generating energy. And so then you have a full chakra life. Yeah. That's the key to a really empowered life. I mean, okay. That was weird. My screen went dead. So, I guess at this point, I think we're getting close to the end. And if you had any, my mic went off. Is it? Okay, all good. So, just to recap, we spent the last 3 classes talking about learning how to slow down so that we can be more in our body, learning how to use breath, sound, movement, and intention to create more pleasure in the body and to activate and to feel more, to break through the blocks to bliss by using these tools. We talked a little bit about cultivation of sexual energy. I'm keeping this pretty PG, so I'm not going into a lot of details. And how to basically teach men how to learn how to have a different arc of arousal instead of just this big peak and then this drop, learning how to slow it down so that man's fire, his sexual energy, can awaken a woman's natural, more feminine water energy, and then allow things to happen naturally and unfold. We also talked about consent and learning how to be really clear on who's giving and who's receiving, and making those agreements and learning how to have those, even in relationships. Like, I think a lot of times people just assume there's consent. And I don't always believe it's the case. I think people have to have better conversations when it comes to that. Will the next training be... Yeah, so the next training I talked about will be on Zoom. So it's like a private, and here on Facebook it's a little different. I'm just was offering this as a free way for you guys to get to know me, and I'm going to be doing these once a week. I'll be putting up the dates, but it'll be like once a week around the same time all the time, and they'll be shorter. This is really long. Of course, we're going to be going more in depth. In the workshops, there'll be some demos. I'll be working on people. We'll be having conversations. So there'll be a learning portion, and then there'll be a coaching portion. So the things that you learn at the beginning of the week. So imagine you have a week and you have a session with me, and you learn, and you learn from the demo, or you learn from doing something. We're all doing it together. You have some exercises to do and some assignments. You do them with yourself or with your partner, and then you write about it. So the whole idea is that most people who do programs like this do not complete them. They do lots of online courses and they don't get finished. So the whole idea is that there'll be a lot of accountability when it comes to working with me, so that I know that you get the most out of this. So the whole idea is that there is a lot of energy going back and forth. It's not just about information that you're going to consume. It's about really doing the work, going in depth. So it would be, imagine if you were to come and work with me. People come to work with me and they do, say, a series of 5 sessions. For what it costs to do a series of 5 sessions with me, it'll be like basically a fifth of the price. So what I charge for one session, a couple session, is basically, what I'm going to be charging for the course. So, that'll all come out. I'll have all those details. I'll be forwarding that out and giving you that information if you want it. It's available. I'll post it on the page. And then registration will open in a couple of days. So that's kind of exciting, just getting the last details ready. And so learning how to be better at touch is a big deal. Most people, that's the one thing they don't get taught on, unless you're a massage therapist, or that seems to be your thing. We all have these wonderful gifts that we have to offer. Maybe touch isn't one of them. So this is something where not all men, but a lot of men need to learn how to touch so that they can learn how to turn on their partner. And then, women need to learn how to relate men on a different level and understand what their desires are and how they work. So it's understanding the polarity of your partner and how to create more magnetism. And everyone is very different. So learning your language of love and what that is too is a really big deal. I think that's it. If there's anything else, and if you have any questions, feel free to post them down below. And I'll be in the Facebook group to answer questions and be posting some things and some details. And I thank you. There were a few that showed up for each one of these. So thank you very much for showing up. It was really nice to connect with every one of you. And if there's anything else, please let me know. So have a great day, and namaste.